You're listening to Your Rivers Are Wrong, the podcast.
Good morning, or evening, or afternoon, whenever you may be. Welcome back to the Your Rivers Are Wrong podcast. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Dante.
And I'm the other host. My name is Merle.
And we're here, as we are every week, to talk about the wonderful whimsies of world building, the arts and aesthetics of setting up a setting, and telling stories born from it.
That's right. Every week.
Now, this is a totally normal episode, and nothing has happened in the past
Yep.
24 hours.
Totally normal.
Nothing at all is strange. Okay, let's start with good news, and we'll go to things that are a little bit more testy.
Yes.
We have to preface, and this is kind of a neutral statement, that the time between episode 68, which was the previous episode, and 69, which is today, is somewhere in the ballpark of 5 to 6 weeks. It's been a while.
That's
and
right.
The backlog of episodes we've been talking about this whole season really came to play, and it's great. And we're cruising, and this episode might come out on time. All fingers crossed. But in that time span, I feel like we have to talk about what feels like to me what has been the month of Merle. You've just been
The month of Merle.
You've been like a string of incredible things you've been up to.
I mean, God, no pressure.
Couple weeks.
But yes,
I mean,
it's been busy. Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of been talking about it. We've been leading up to. I literally edited 68 just a few days ago, and it's like, yeah, my show's in a couple of weeks, right? And now we've been there, done that.
Oh my God,
yes,
crazy.
And dealing with the after effects. Can you talk a little bit about how that show went for you?
Oh, you guys, it was great. I love theater. For the uninitiated, I was part of a, I guess, quote unquote amateur production, but everyone was really good, so it didn't really feel like amateur, of A New Brain, which is by composer William Finn. It is amazing. I had a big part. It was lovely. I love the people. It was in my local area, which is also very nice. It was basically 2 weekends of just like musical only, like nothing else on my brain. I did sleep and eat, which was useful, which helps for, keeping up the energy. But we basically had 3 shows in the first weekend and 2 shows in the last weekend. And the week in between was a mess. It was beautiful. I love theater. What else can I say? This is great. I mean, you guys know this. Like, I'm such a character backstory nerd. And then if you are able to, like, in a show, and also I love singing. It's one of my greatest favorite hobbies ever.
I feel like you're understating how you're really good at it.
Maybe that's also why I love it, because I'm learning about it all the time, because it's my favorite thing to do, to learn about singing and get better at it. And then if you can play a part that only you are responsible for, that is a pretty deep character study of a mother going a little bit crazy, and it's very lovely to play. It's so nice to do it 5 times in 2 weeks. Or, I mean, less than 2 weeks, in like 2 weekends. Oh, you guys, it was great.
Yeah, we talked about this. When you told me about the role you had in A New Brain, you vastly underplayed that you were basically the female lead of the show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I feel like I talked about this, but then somehow I didn't. Yeah,
it was just like a hit after hit after hit. And it was. I haven't watched the show yet because I'm literally across the country.
Yes,
of course,
that makes things
but
difficult.
There is a video.
Yeah,
that
we're totally
going to
watch the thing later today,
which is exciting,
which is very fun. Yes. Good stuff.
Also, I did want to mention a cool project you have going on in Rocktober. Can I ask you about that?
Please ask me about that.
Yeah, what is that, Marla? What's going on there?
Okay, here's talking about backstory. Here's the backstory. A colleague of mine and friend, his name is Tom, and he's also a musician. He's in 2 bands, and he's very great. And he is, like, ever since COVID, I think he graduated during COVID, and then also COVID happened, and then he was in the black void of sort of graduating and also COVID. And then he started the sort of initiative or the challenge, I guess, which he called Rocktober, which is basically make a piece of music every day for the entirety of October. And if you succeed in doing that every day, and I think you have one joker, right? Like one sort of wild card that you don't have to do it. If you succeed for every other day of the October, then you get, eternal fame and you've succeeded and it's great. Kind of that. There's a lot of challenges, right? In October where it's like stopping to smoke October or like Inktober for all the illustrators out there. So this is another one of them, but with music, and it's great. And last time I heard about this because then he was like, yeah, I'm participating, and I sort of saw the chaos of it, and I was very intrigued and terrified of it. And this year I was on time enough and realized that I could also participate if I wanted to, and then he convinced me, and now I participate. And I guess I make music now every day.
Yeah. Out of the stretch of coming from your theater show.
Talking about the Black Void, it's a good second project to keep your mind off like theater, cravings that are not happening. Yeah.
Right. And I'm one of many people who are tuning in every afternoon and saying, what did Marla post today?
Oh, yay.
Which has been
that
very
makes me
fun.
very happy. Yeah. Also, It has been really fun. Despite the humble microphone problems that have arisen every now and then that we're not going to talk about because it's going to jinx everything. But yes, it's been very fun. And also it forces you to just make shit. And you can't edit that shit. There's no time to be self-conscious or self-critical because you just have to make stuff every day.
You just gotta
Everything
put it
that's going to come out of your mouth is going to be, the thing you're going to upload because there's no time for anything else. Which is very nice and kind of like the ultimate playground, right? Because I've been trying out, that's a big statement. Every now and then I sort of try to make like a song or try to make a melody or fidget around with text, right? But it's always it always feels bigger than it's necessary. And this is just sort of flitting about and sort of fucking around with it. And if it fails, it's also okay because everyone has this struggle because everyone's trying to make like 30 pieces of music in a month, which is a ridiculous thing to do anyway, So yeah, better have fun with it, right?
Yeah, I think the premise puts on a lot of pressure, which is good, but also relieves a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
which is like
it's very much both.
There's a bar standard that is absolutely subjective, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. And also there in the same week, you're going to make masterpieces and you're going to make absolute trash, right? Which is lovely. Because then in at one day, you're going to make like a 30-second beat with your hands and then you're tired and you're like, I'm done. This is it. And then in the other day, you got the whole Sunday, you're feeling it and you make something beautiful and it's also great and everything counts, right? It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see if I make the end of October. So far, so good. It's currently,
so good.
as of recording, what is it? 9th of October? 10th?
We're recording on the 10th. Yeah.
Yeah. So, pretty good, pretty far in.
Pretty great.
So we'll see.
I think we'll very briefly glaze over the problems we've been having. Half the reason we haven't been recording for the past few weeks is because of Marla's show and being generally busy with life stuff, both of us. But also because one of our mics is being very
whiny,
moody, I think. Yeah.
Is being a child.
chooses not to work very specifically on the days that we record.
Yeah.
So that is something we're wrestling with towards the end of this season, and hopefully we can wrap up strong. But we're both kind of standing on a tightrope, thinking like this podcast recording could end at any moment.
Yep.
And if we drop out at any point, I understand.
That's where we are right now.
But yeah.
Yep. Anyway, how are you? Also important.
In the last 5 weeks, my sister got married, which was very exciting. Went to a wedding. And then I went to a second wedding for one of my best friends.
Talking about
the next
busy,
day.
by the way.
So party Thursday, party Friday, collapse Saturday.
Nice. Work on Monday.
Other than that, I've also gone to the Ren Fair in New York, which was very, very fun. Got to go with my friends. Oh yeah,
I saw some videos of that shit. That looked so great. Oh my God. I'm so jealous that you have a bunch of Ren Fair shit.
New York Ren Fair does show out. They're pretty great at it.
And the weather looked lovely. Everything was so aesthetic. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Very fall, very autumn energy.
Yeah. So nice. Did you see, was it a big one? Like, can you spend an entire day there? How does that work?
Oh yeah, you can absolutely spend a whole day there. There's multiple like improv groups that bounce around. There's shows like people who use whips and sword swallowing and acrobatics. So it's all
pretty cool,
spread out throughout the day. And obviously there's the main jousting match that happens in the afternoon where you get to root for one knight and boo the other. And it's very, very fun.
Yeah.
Me and my friends really get into that. I don't know if anyone here is from the Northeast, of the US. But if anyone's been to medieval times, we're the grown adults in the back that are yelling at the top of our lungs like 8-year-olds. That's like, yeah, great night, go!
Nice.
Boo! Boo! Like yelling.
I mean,
really
what else are
loud
you there for, right? I mean, I feel like that's part of the deal there. Yeah.
It's part of the deal.
It's
Why are you
gotta be.
there if you're not going to yell?
Yeah.
I don't know. But we've also yelled at like monster truck competitions. Is it also same
As you
energy?
should. Same energy. Yeah.
Anyway.
Love that.
We've talked a lot about ourselves. Let's get into what this podcast is all about, which is world building. Are you ready, Marla?
I am so ready.
Actually, I don't know if you are ready because this episode is going to be a little bit different.
Oh,
A little
no.
bit different. A trend that we've started, it's officially a trend because we're doing it for the third time, is that towards the end of the season, and if I can remember, it was episode 48, then 59, then this one's 69, the episode is going to feature us world building. I feel like we talk about world building a lot on this podcast, but we don't actually world build. Like
We just
and
talk about the building.
we just talk about world building, and we have a little prompt at the end.
We're
and
like
that's very
nerds. We
fun.
don't actually do sports. We just watch sports anime.
But you got
We've had this episode.
but you gotta immerse yourself in the hobby.
Yeah,
You gotta
it's
indulge
true.
every now and then if you want to try to teach it or educate or share what you've learned.
Mhm.
So today we're going to be doing a little bit of world building, and I'm going to be using a resource that I discovered or learned about through the 99 More series that I conduct on my YouTube channel, which is dedicated to learning 99 more tabletop RPGs. And I found one that's very useful for world building, which is called, very appropriately, An Altogether Different River,
Oh,
which is the name of the game.
oh my God. It's beautiful. Isn't it perfect?
It's amazing. I thought it was perfectly appropriate for this.
That sounds awesome.
What we're going to be doing is we're going to be building a town today, or some sort of town or city or whatever it becomes. It's a setting, a small setting where people live very specifically. And what makes this one unique is that the way that they construct or guide us to construct this village is using time, whereas we are going to flesh out what this location was like in the past and in the present,
Okay.
and document the change that happens in this setting. So that's going to be the little experiment we have for today.
Interesting. I like it. Changing up the format here.
So
Very nice.
instead of a proper topic, we're going to be building a nostalgic town, and our prompt will be interacting as two characters from this town.
Oh,
Does that sound good to you?
that sounds very good to me.
Okay. So I'm going to send you, I'm sending you something in our, in our chat.
Yes.
And what we're going to do is this list is a list that you can find in the game, again, called An Altogether Different River. I should note that the game is made by Aaron Lim. Thank you, Aaron Lim. I've interacted with him on Twitter. He seems very nice.
Oh, fun.
But these are aspects that can play into the general motifs of our town. There's 36 different words here. I'm going to ask that you pick one specifically. I pick one specifically. And then at the end, we'll roll randomly for two more aspects. And then using those
okay.
4 aspects, we'll build out what we think this town looks like. Do you have any words that stick out to you immediately?
I kind of don't like it, but what immediately stuck out with me is insects.
Insects. Okay. Insects is going to be the first word.
There's a lot of good words on here.
Yeah. Insects is going to be the first word that we put here. Do I want to lean into that bad energy, or do I want to?
I agree.
I'm going to add from this list the word walls.
Walls?
I'm going to add the word walls.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's not bad energy yet, but it's not necessarily good energy. Now I'm going to roll for 2 more words.
Yes.
I'll get a dice roller out.
Please do.
All right, here we go. The numbers are 28 and 14. So the words that we will be working with are
14 is lake.
4, 5, 6. It's insects again.
Is it insects again? Yeah, do another one. Do another one.
And the word right after it is walls.
No.
Okay, let's try one more dice roll and we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah.
25 animals. Okay.
Okay, so what do we got here? Insects, walls, lake, animals.
Like animals. Okay. So we're going to start trying to construct the general energy of this town. And
I'm already
this is
intrigued at where this is going.
It's time to show, Marla, it's time to show off our world building
Yeah.
talents
Oh, God.
with these special 4 words.
Mhm.
Okay. I think just starting off, this feels a lot like some sort of summer camp. There's a lot of summer camp energy to this.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I hear lake and I automatically think, oh, it's some like children's encampment.
That's very summer campy. Yeah.
Somewhere in the rural mountains. Insects, I can hear like the chirping of like grasshoppers and not grasshoppers. I can hear the chirping of crickets in the background. Just an ambient noise that exists all throughout the day. I feel like animals makes a lot of sense, and walls. I don't really know how walls factor into this. Do you see any vision for that in particular?
Well, it could be some sort of canyon situation, right? Where it's a very sort of enclosed space that opens up in a lake. Like it's
okay.
Do you see what I'm seeing? Almost like a very wide pit of sorts where it sort of descends to the water side of it all.
That's really cool.
There's a lot of like mountainy cliffs, I guess, around.
Sides?
Yeah, cliff sides. So it feels like a little secluded little bay area or something.
Now I'm starting to imagine this is little campsite, little campgrounds tucked around like almost like a 3-sided cliffside.
Yeah.
And there's like one opening that leads to the greater town or community, probably just one road that leads back to the city.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with all these words, let's just chuck a waterfall on there. You know, let's put some nice cascading water somewhere in the distance, not too close that it's like dangerous for anyone who's camping out.
Yes.
But like in the ambient background, you can hear like the crashing of water in the distance. General wildlife. You know what? With animals, with the word animals, let's pick the mascot for this camp.
Are we being like realistic or are we being like wild about this?
It's your choice. I'll leave it to you.
Okay, I want there to be like sort of giant beetles. Like really
giant.
Almost that you can ride them, but that's really not what you should do, because when all the like 7-year-olds in the camp are like being rambunctious, they're going to try anyway and then hurt themselves, you know?
Rambunctious is such a good word.
Yeah. It's a good word.
Just getting rambunctious.
Yeah, you know. I want some like, you know, like Hilda vibes. Have you seen this?
Hilda vibes. I'm not too familiar with
animation. Oh, it's very lovely. You should watch it. It's very whimsical and summer campy, but also fantastical, which is nice.
Okay.
It's very like friendly spirits kind of energy, you know?
Okay. So if the mascot is like a giant beetle, do the adults ride beetles? Is my question.
Ooh.
Like is it a common mount?
I don't want to. Do you think they're dangerous? Except from like falling off of them, but
I think they look dangerous, but they could be very
gentle.
friendly.
That's kind of nice. Yeah, I like that.
Are we thinking like gentle forest spirits? Like gentle forest creatures? Like
I think
the
so,
giant
right?
beetles?
Yeah, it's gotta be.
And it's like, you don't trust kids to not like anger them or piss them off, so you tell them to stay away.
So how about this? Not everyone has a beetle as a mount, because then it's not special and cool enough.
Sure.
But what if only like the people that literally live in this forest and every now and then have to like, you know, deal with the hassle of the summer camp existing. And then the people that are the actual residents of the area do ride the beetles, and that makes them very mystical and cool.
Yeah, I think it's something along the lines of there are people who are local to this area and help out at the camp, and there are people who are definitely tourists and only come during the summer and like don't really know how this place works.
It's that kind of area, yeah.
So I think there's definitely some sort of dynamic between if you're around here the entire time and understand like the workings of these beetles or these, we can say like mystical insects. A little bit older than time energy, you know, like they existed well before anyone ever settled here.
Sure.
Prehistory type. And then there's people who are like, wow, this is a really nice campground near a waterfall. Let's build, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely a little bit of settler energy in that.
Okay, so can I add a little like flair to this?
Of course.
Okay, I'm going to say, because I love the summer camp energy, but I want there to be a little bit of edge to it. Otherwise, we're being very butterfly about it.
Sure.
You know, the adjective butterfly.
Yeah, we got some good words we can use here if you want.
I feel like because beetles are like famously shiny shelled, I think. Perhaps there's a sort of thing happening in this kind of realistic but still like magical-ish world where twilight becomes this sort of weird shimmer in the air instead of just sort of the light dying down. It sort of becomes I'm really like picturing the visual of how a beetle shell looks, right? Like what if the sky just turns into this weird sort of glistening for just like every end of the day kind of. And that's when the beetles come out, or that's when they're completely, you know, invisible or something because they sort of blend into the background for real. I'm kind of looking for something similar to the feeling of like a white elk in, you know, snowy forest, right? When it's not snowing, it's just super like ghostly and out of place. And then once it's snowing, then it's meant to be there, right? Kind of like that.
Yeah. So I think that we should then make these beetles incredibly rare, like very, very difficult to spot.
Yeah.
And then there's this sort of like Stardust hour where like there's like little glitters
cool.
that carry in the air and the wind. And it's like only during this hour, just between the sunset and total darkness, is this like glistening in the skies. And if you look very closely, you can see the lights reflecting off of the shiny shells of these beetles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. You know what? Let's add a little bit of danger there. We gotta make this a little bit more spicy.
Yeah.
We do have the word animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're going to make the beetles these like mystical guardian type creatures, I want the animals to be like dangerous. I want them to be like, it's kind of like a don't go into the forest at night type energy.
Yeah, sure.
There's definitely a summer camp curfew. You can't allow the kids to be out at a certain hour of the day. And
yeah, like twilight curfew. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
And just to contrast the insects, I want these kind of dangerous animals to be more mammalian, right? There's kind of like wolves and like dangerous like forest cats. I don't know why I'm blanking here. Are there forest cats?
Like lynxes? Like cheetahs?
In the forest?
Wait, that's more like jungle though.
It's more like savannah, yeah. I don't know why forest cat just doesn't...
Bobcat?
Maybe like,
isn't that an animal?
Maybe like angry badgers or like...
Angry badgers, yeah.
Right. Things with claws and teeth and fangs. It's just dangerous things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's this weird sort of... not weird, but it's this unusual sort of scenario where like the bugs are generally benevolent, but like more feral creatures are the ones that are like closer to man, I suppose, in terms of being like proper mammals.
So we do make the distinction between them then, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's important.
Sure.
Okay. So we have this setting. We have this little summer camp between the cliff sides by the waterfall, represented by the mascot of this legendary guardian forest beetle and the dangers of the forest nearby. Now, in terms of a town that exists through time, what this, technically a tabletop RPG, what this game does try to emphasize is that we're going to add character to this town by allowing them to exist in a history. So when in regards to time,
yeah, that's cool.
We want to start with the details of what elements of this town are timeless and immutable. What has not changed, what will never change about this town in particular.
What does immutable mean?
As in unable to be changed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like water to gas is mutable.
Oh,
immutable
like
would mean if it stayed as water forever.
Yeah. Okay. Huh. Well, definitely the Twilight thing we talked about before, that perfectly fits into this. That feels like an ancient sort of forever around something. That's a pretty hard question.
I think something like such a natural setting, it's hard to say that nothing will ever change, right? Because landscapes by nature over time kind of grow and develop. I don't even think that this waterfall in the background has been here forever. I think that's like
I think that's what it feels like, and then perhaps there's more to it than initially you think. Like everyone in this summer camp, maybe only the ones that have been here, like that have started when they were like 5 and then are now camp leaders, right? Only they know, the truth of the waterfall in the back, something like that.
Sure.
But then for everyone else, it just feels like the huge, the waterfall that's always there.
They don't know, they don't remember the great incident that caused the waterfall,
Yeah. Sure.
I think if we're talking immutable, it's got to be the Beatles, right? The Beatles have been here.
I think so. Yeah. They're older than man. I think they got that sort of mystical energy going.
Like this was their territory well before people came around, even before the natives.
Yeah.
Like the Beatles were the landmark of this space. And then over time, people moved in. So I think that's a staple. That will never change.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Stardust Hour is certainly a thing that has been around forever.
Yeah. I think that's very simultaneous to how the Beatles are existing forever.
Right. I imagine that the Stardust was what initially drew people to this location, to this spot in the first place, and gave them the idea to even settle here. It was this sort of mystical area that was like, oh, this place is somewhere special. Maybe we should stick around.
I think this bay perhaps wasn't even found out until, well, not recently, but too recently, right? Like the last maybe 20 years or so, because it is so secluded and you need to sort of realize that there's a whole sort of lower plateau that you can also build on or exist on, or
Sure.
that's very rich
Yeah.
in, I don't know, fish or forests or, or beetles.
Or beetles.
But I think because it's all the way at the end of a larger land mass that exists much higher up on the cliffs, it's hidden out of sight a little bit until the last few years where people realize that you can go here and it's very beautiful and very summer camp proof.
Yeah, I think this place has definitely been a landmark and almost like a sacred grounds kind of energy.
Yeah, I'm also feeling like I'm sort of picturing a little bit, it's a little bit extra, but I also like it, that the cliff, like the walls that are surrounding this place are so high that you really need a guide to sort of traverse them, or that there's maybe not even like a great path. There's just like either like a giant sort of like, what's that called? Like carved out ladder of sorts that you need to descend or ascend to get in or out of this place. It's some effort to like go all the way down or all the way up again after. It's sort of the boundary of it, right? Like you really have to want it to really go there. Like it's not a casual tourist spot like that.
Of course.
Which is also why it's very special. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the journey getting to this spot is part of the experience. It's like to get to this camp area, you're led through this space, and it really feels like you're disconnecting with wherever you came from.
Yeah, I really wanted to feel like you've sort of found a hidden cave and you need to like squeeze yourself through and then see the beauty of the sort of underground lake that's in there or whatever, that kind of feeling.
Yeah. Okay. So with the prompt that we're going to handle towards the end, we're going to inhabit two characters who have been at the town, as they say here, the town then and the town now. They have been present within this space, at least in two different time periods. And the contrast between these two characters that we're eventually going to inhabit is that one has stayed here the entire time and one has left, then returned. So they have two different perspectives on this town.
That's nice.
Over the course of time.
Yeah.
So before we jump into what that prompt would look like or what that conversation would entail, I do want to nail down what the town looks like now. What has changed since the last time these two characters were both here together?
So to clarify, what is the time span here? Are we talking 20 years? Are we talking, like, what are we talking?
I'm thinking 20 years.
Like
I think, honestly,
early few years that people started to settle here versus right now where it's a famous sort of, I guess kind of famous like summer camp / tourist spot.
Well, I'm thinking that because if it's a summer camp spot, I think it'd be really cool if our characters were both kids here at camp.
Oh, that's kind of nice. Yeah.
And then years have passed and they are returning here and meeting again for the first time. But one character has been here the entire time.
Oh, okay. Okay. So honestly, I kind of like this. Like, what if this, I think one of our characters in that case then is the person that just grew up here and is now finally able to make friends because it's so secluded with all the summer camp kids that are somehow like this camp started in her like home area, even though for everyone else, it's a very special place.
If this were to be the setting of a story that we would build on, right? Hypothetically, if this was the main locale, I want to introduce a classic problem with places like this in that they're really nice and people who don't understand the space start to have plans for it.
Right.
So would you be interested in playing the character who remained?
Sure.
And I could play the character who returned.
Sounds great.
Cool. I think I'll leave it a surprise what my character is gonna bring up.
Okay.
With that said, to recap what we've just done, and it's just one way you can create a setting, one way you can world build how a town came to fruition. We literally started with 4 essentially random words, figured out a way in our minds to piece them together, labeled and established the groundwork of the foundation of what makes this place special, how this place exists in time, and what aspects of it are immutable, like immune to change, and what parts are open to the progression of the story. And with that, I think we should jump into our prompt. How do you feel about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go.
Let's see. I think the premise will be my character is coming back to the town for the first time after 30 years. And the first time my character was here was when he was 8 years old, young and bright-eyed, as just a kid at this camp. How does that sound to you?
That sounds great.
Okay. As I understand it, when you arrive from the city nearby, you arrive at the top of the cliffside.
Yeah.
And you walk down this long, winding path, a very precarious path down the cliffs to the camp in which you will be spending the better part of a week, so to speak. Yeah, let's start with there. It is a late afternoon. Sun is only a couple hours from setting, honestly. My character has this dark black hair, a little bit disheveled. He's wearing very formal clothes. It seems like he literally just got out of work at a very early shift. He's still kind of wearing this button-down collar, this older blue suit kind of jacket, but it's unbuttoned because the day is hot. He parks his car just at the very edge of where cars are allowed to be or exist, and he's holding like 2 large suitcases. One of them is brown and ruddy and boring, and one of them is this like bright pink unicorn rainbow color that belongs to the boundless energy 7-year-old that is tailing behind him.
Very nice.
This is a young girl that hops out from the passenger seat of the car, which is highly inadvisable for small kids. But she looks, this young girl with jet black hair and a big green ribbon on her head leans over the railing and marvels at this massive landscape that waits before them. And my character, give me a letter for the name. I'm going to come up with the name.
Ooh, S.
S. His name is Sam. Let's go with Sam. Sam is fine.
Sure.
Sam immediately drops one of the suitcases and scoops her up in one of his arms and says, okay, whoa, way too close to the edge there. We'll walk down. We're just going to wait for a guide. You promised me that you'd behave on this trip. So please just stay far away from any steep edges until we're safely on ground floor. And this girl kind of pouts and wrestles with him in his arm, and he just holds her tight. And Sam looks around desperately for somebody who is supposedly at this time in this space guide them down the mountainside.
Great. Oh my God, I love them already. I would say barely like 10 seconds pass and there's this giant sound. Oh my God, giant truck passing by my window. Give me 1 second.
That's a giant sound. The giant truck passing by the cliffside.
That's definitely what nature sounds like. Hold on. Barely 10 seconds pass, and what follows is the sound of as if like a tank is barreling through a forest, like twigs snapping, crunching sound, things skittering away a little bit. There's still like a lot of sun. It's a very like warm afternoon, I guess, feeling. The sound feels a bit out of place. And a moment later, right over the edge of the cliff that they're standing, or like the start of the path, right, where it very steeply descends down, just off the side of the path even, comes a giant, glistening, almost wet-looking head of a blackish beetle over the edge of the cliff, and sort of skitters up to it with these weird sort of clicky noises that insects make, but, you know, not aggressive in any way. And a moment later, Sam sees someone familiar on the back of this giant beetle. I would say this is the size of like a very polar bear like size, or like bear size, you know, like
sure,
it's pretty intense. Specifically if you have never seen something like this before, because I don't think Sam has come into contact with any of these. Maybe, you know, seen them in the distance or something. I don't know, you can fill it in. But this is very much in his face. And as they come up to them, he hears, "See, you need a guide? Well, I'm at your service." And on the back of this giant beetle, and she's just stepping down, is someone he at first doesn't recognize, I think, but with a shock realizes is Hannah, the little kid that he made friends with all those years ago during his summer camp trip, that lived in the forest with her mom very close by and sort of hung around the kids. It wasn't part of summer camp, but, you know, was sort of a local in the area.
Sure. Yeah. When this beetle emerges from the forest, there's an immediate like stumbling backwards as like Sam fumbles with his suitcases plus his daughter. Yeah. And you can see like some of his stuff falls to the side as he like just kind of holds her and pulls her away in a very protective way as she's staring like wide-eyed, sparkling pupils. Like, oh, wow, kind of impressed. And as Sam kind of gets his bearings, he quickly puts her down on the ground and like kind of gently pushes her head down in sort of a bowing stance.
Wait, did you name the daughter or no? Did I miss it?
I haven't said anything yet.
Okay, cool.
No.
Cool.
And Sam also bows, almost very vaguely remembering like the customs of what you're supposed to do if you ever run into these creatures as a sign of respect. And after a moment or two passes, he raises his head, looks, there's a squint and a raised eyebrow, and he says, Hannah, right?
Yeah.
We've met before.
Have we met before?
Hi, Sammy, I guess? It's Sam now, but you remember me?
Oh my God. Little Sammy from the summer camp. I can't believe it.
I haven't been called Little Sammy in decades. Hey.
I mean, I guess
wow.
You're Sam now. That's wild. And who is this? Your daughter?
Yeah. This is Jessica. Jessie, say hi. And she like is still like staring in awe. And she has like a little hand stretched out as if wanting to pet the beetle, but doesn't say anything.
Hi, Jessie. Don't worry. It's okay. He won't do anything. Don't try that with the wild ones, though. And Hannah just sort of pets the, I guess, giant beetle next to her to sort of move up a little bit. And he does, and sort of touches his, I guess, forehead or something to the tiny hand of Jessica.
Sam is like a little reluctant. You can see he holds like just the nape of her like green sweater. And as Hannah approaches, he just very reluctantly lets go of the sweater. And Jessica runs over and just kind of slaps her hand onto the side of the beetle, like, pah. Yeah. Oh, it's so great that you're still, I guess, working here now. I'm guessing you're one of the leaders of the camp.
Well, I'm not at the camp, but I do the guidance basically around to make sure that none of, the tiny feet trample things we shouldn't.
Great. Yeah. No. Old lady Bonnie back over in the town I'm living in now. Yeah, she reminded me that this camp's still around, and so I got asked a couple things, poked around for a few details, and I heard that they were open for this week. I'm guessing there's something going on that maybe Jessie could attend. Is that all right?
Well, usually they work with like invites, or you have to sort of reserve a spot earlier in advance. But I can see if there's some spots left, at least for this week. There's a bunch of I think they're doing like a track of workshops and stuff. And also, honestly, you're perfectly in time for the meteor shower or whatever. I think there's like a constellation thing going on. It's pretty exciting. It's just so fascinating that you're back after all these years.
Yeah.
Did you just want to check out the camp, or I mean, it's a pretty long trek to like go all the way here. Usually we don't have like random, or I mean, I don't want to say random, but we don't have people just stumbling upon it or like passing by. It's kind of an effort.
Yeah, it was only like 3.5 hours, so just a
sure.
I had to clock out a little early today to get here on time.
Right.
Yeah. Listen, this is going to sound crazy, but I know back the last time we talked, I had sworn, crossed my heart, that I'd be back here at this camp like every year. But later that fall, there was like a falling out with my parents, and it was just real hard to coordinate any sort of trips. And
it's fine. They say it a lot. It doesn't happen too often. And, who knows? Maybe it's more of a one-time only experience, huh?
Yeah.
Except for now, I guess. Must be kind of weird to be back, no? After all these years. It's hard to sort of see the change when you're right next to it, right? But
oh, yeah. These railings weren't here 30 years ago, so.
Oh, yeah. A lot of, well, yes.
I'm thankful, of course.
I'm glad we do like guided walks down the cliff now. I think that's a good improvement. Yes. And necessary. Yes.
I always thought that was a little precarious, even when I was younger.
Yeah, well.
So are you the guide down the hill? I mean, I wasn't sure if this would be like a week-long thing or more of like a day situation, but I figured we might as well. I was really hoping, I wasn't sure if anything had changed, that Jessie would be able to see Stardust Tower, and not really asking for any more than that, if that's all right.
I think that's more than all right. There's always room left. And if not, you can also just stay over with me if there's no space at the camp.
Oh, I don't mean to impose. I'm sure that's a whole...
You're not going to make the trek all the way down there to just see Starlight Hour. I mean, it's gorgeous and never fails to amaze, but also, it takes a while to get there. Like, I wouldn't want you to be like going back right after. That's kind of terrible. So
Yeah. All right.
also dangerous, maybe, let's maybe not do that.
Yeah. So these three people start walking down the hill. Is this a ride the beetle situation or just walk next to the beetle situation?
I would say that usually Hannah hates people touching her beetle. That's not a thing. It's like one of those like, what's that called in English? Like children's farm with like cute little animals. Is that a thing?
Sure.
Where, kids with like candy hands like touch goats and then the goats become sticky and the goats have a terrible life. Yeah, that's kind of
What?
Wait, that's always how I feel. Okay, never.
It's not a relatable thing at all.
Okay, well, I always feel bad for the like farm animals that are at like the sort of children zones, right? That's what I mean.
Zoos.
Petting zoos. Yeah, that's the word. Okay, so in Dutch it's just called like children farm, basically. Anyway, that's the vibe that Hannah usually gets when people see her giant beetle. But also, it's such a hassle to take the official path because beetles can walk up walls and stuff. I now manifest that that's a thing that's true.
Okay. Yeah, of
so
course.
it's way easier to ride them up and down, specifically if you're the guide and you know where to go anyway.
Got it.
So usually, it's not a thing. But also, if Jessie really wants to, she might be able to ride the beetle because I think Hannah's feeling forgiving today.
Sam would kind of hoist up Jess to sit with you.
Yep.
And then go tell you, by the way, Hannah, 2 taps on the side means that she's feeling stressed out. Just 1 tap is she's all right. Just kind of
Got it.
should probably explain she's not a vocal kid. She hasn't been able to
She doesn't
speak.
talk?
Not really, no.
That's totally fine.
It hasn't for a while, so.
You don't really need that here anyway. I've been doing pretty good on my own. Also, beetles don't talk anyway, so.
I mean, that's very useful.
Yeah. Well, we won't be out of your sight anyway. Don't worry.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Awesome.
You're welcome.
Jess, just gonna, you'll be okay. And Jess is already like clamoring on, like crawling up the side of the beetle. She's got like boundless energy.
Also, it's slippery, so this is like a,
Yeah, she's like trying to
3
inch her
times
way
the
up.
energy for like even getting up there when you're a tiny
Yeah,
human.
and then she like vice grips around your waist as she like
Yep, makes sense.
holds on. And as you descend and Sam's following close behind, he's like peering downwards and seeing a bunch of the village houses that are nearby the camp and says, so you've been living here at this camp like your whole life then?
Basically, yeah. I mean, not at the camp. The camp is very, it's a different area. There's a few of us here in the area, and most of us do some work for the camp because it's easy, and also we're the only ones that know how to traverse the woods without, getting eaten, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I guess once you sort of start to realize what kind of a spot you're in, it's not really necessary to leave. Whenever I go out there, it's very busy. I kind of like this version. So I guess I just hung around and, before you know it, you're super settled. And you have a beetle friend and, but it's nice here.
No, I'm sure. I'm noticing, and this hasn't changed at all from the last time I was here. I feel like rain still gets through those rooftops of yours. I'm not seeing much of an improvement since last I visited.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. It's one of those things that's always sort of on the list and then no one ever like tries to fix it. And then also I sort of forget about it because the summers are really not that rainy here. So then once the weather gets less great, then I'm like, oh yeah, that was a problem that I forgot about for half a year. And then, well, it goes like that. Also, I'm outside a lot. So I guess I sort of got numb for like dust and humidity.
Well, listen, I was actually thinking about it on the ride over. Nowadays, I'm a project manager at a construction firm.
Oh,
I do a lot of renovation projects all throughout the city. If you want, I could probably convince a team or 2 to come out here and, build some proper steel structures. I just feel like from a safety standpoint, or just like keeping people out of danger. I know the woods get really dangerous out here. I feel like a little bit of infrastructure might do some good.
Right. That's very kind of you. I'm not sure if that's that necessary. Also, it's pretty hard to get like anything down the path you just went. Like beetles are one thing, but it's not really made for, heavy duty stuff, which also means that it's pretty wild in here, which I happen to like. But, fixing that roof would be nice. But
how about we start with that?
Sure.
I got a it's a bad habit, but I got a couple tools in my briefcase. If I'm ever on site, maybe I could work something out for you.
Sure.
So you've never thought about living somewhere else?
Well,
listen, this place is truly something else, magical. It's one of a kind, but the world out there is moving fast. There's a lot of progress being made. There's a lot you can experience just beyond these walls. I'm amazed you haven't considered trying somewhere else for a bit.
I guess I have considered, and I've lived here most of my life, but I've traveled a little bit, and I guess very quickly I realized that it's, as I said, a very different world out there, and I don't think I'm very much made for that one, and I think that makes me appreciate this one even more. It's you might feel different, but the sort of remoteness of it makes me able to breathe. I understand that it's perhaps not fast enough for everyone, or too far away. And it is, it's hard to reach. It's very, it's also the place I know best. And it's the place that makes me able to, unwind, I guess. And also once you start knowing a place so well, it feels weird to be outside of it. It feels like you're missing, part of your arm if you're not there. So I appreciate you asking, but I think we might live very different lives. Which is okay.
Yeah, no, of course, to each his own. As we kind of crest onto the bottom, and this is where I think we're going to start tying up this story. As we crest into the bottom of this campground, Sam glances towards a camp that has not changed much at all. So much of his memories are exactly, so to speak, as they've been left. You can still see the same playground, you can still see the same bunks, these old cabins towards the back. You can hear the faint crashing of water in the distance by the waterfall that pours from above. There's kind of a quiet that befalls him, as the memories of this space are very close in time to a series of events that were very difficult. And there's just the faintest of moisture building up just beneath his eyes as it all comes rushing back. He kind of gently tugs Jess to be close and holds her to his side and says to you, how long is someone allowed to stay here as a guest?
In the camp, you mean, or in this place?
In the camp, of course.
Oh, well, they do like the full summer program, which is like a 4-week thing. You've done one. It's basically the same thing. Or if you can only afford like a 1-week kind of thing, they do that too. Or I'm not sure if they're able to like still rule her in for the 1-week program that they're starting tomorrow. But we can check. And otherwise, she might maybe just sort of tag along for a few workshops or something.
Yeah. And
are you okay?
Yeah. I'm fine. What are the odds that, and this is not something I was going to ask an hour ago, but what are the odds you might need a volunteer for this coming week, just to help out?
I think volunteers are always welcome, and I think I might need some help with cleaning out the area from last week. There's a pretty intense constellation viewing happening in a few days that I think, extra hands are always useful. How about that?
Great.
Sam, there's plenty of room here for people that need it,
Yeah.
You can stay as long as you like. Really. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I didn't realize I'd need it.
Yeah, they never do.
I think that's a great way to end, right? Let's clap there. What a killer ending.
Love that.
Nice little zinger at the end. I appreciate that.
That's so lovely. I really like this world. This is great.
Yeah, what a cozy little space.
Very cozy, yeah. Very autumny feel, fits the vibe.
Wow, what a great way to close that. Thanks for joining me in this little experiment. Again, this game is An Altogether Different River by Aaron Lim.
Yeah.
It was
Thanks,
such a
Aaron.
cozy
This
read.
is so nice, yeah.
Yeah.
So it has a bunch of these then, yeah?
Oh, it has like prompt questions.
Or is this like a resource? Is this a game? Like, how would you describe this? Because it feels a little bit in between stuff now, right? In a good way.
The general energy is that it is supposed to facilitate a story that takes place in a singular location, specifically the place you've just built.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it kind of unpacking what comes with a character who has stayed there their whole life versus a character that is just returning.
Right.
And it has questions that help build out a character's baggage, so to speak. Like, why did they stay or why did they go? Is there someone in town that they resent or have history with or have trouble with? Or is there something they can't let go of? Things like that.
Right.
And usually when we build out settings, we like to build out a setting and then the place around it and then the surrounding places and then all that stuff on a very like time flat sort of scale. But when you kind of scale back and understand the idea that everything has history, kind of pull it downwards through time and realize that there's a fantastic way to find depth in creating a place that a character has history in, rather than just attaching a
as
backstory
a starting
to
point. Yeah, I really
rather than
like
just
that.
attaching a character
That's
to a
great.
backstory.
So lovely.
Beautiful little thing. And also, obviously, we don't have time for this on stream, and we don't have time for this on podcast, and it would be very difficult to portray in audio form. There is like a drawing section of this.
Oh, that's so fun.
The players collectively work towards a map and like draw out landmarks of this map.
Oh my God, I love it. I love map making. It's great.
There's a little past present sort of deal.
That's so fun.
But yeah, check out that game if you like it.
Yeah.
This has been a very fun world building experience.
Also great for an episode. This is a great idea. Yeah. Good change of pace here.
Little thing we got. Yeah. Tune in next episode for the season end of season 6.
Cue the audience gasps.
and as we do with every season end, it will be a fan prompts episode.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll be actually, by the time I post this, the episode will be out, unfortunately. But if people who keep track of our Twitter and my YouTube channel, TTRPG, I will be asking for fan prompts that we will be addressing. And the episode comes out on Halloween. So it should be just a little bit interesting.
Very great.
A little bit exciting.
Please lean into that favor for anyone submitting anything. Would not mind that at all.
For everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And as we always say, in this setting that we've just made and in every other one that will ever continue to exist, we must always remind you that your rivers are wrong.
Yeah, sorry about it.
Goodbye.
It's still true.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Rivers Are Wrong. If you have ideas for topics, prompts, or you just want to share your thoughts, please reach us at yourriversarewrong@gmail.com. That's yourriversarewrong@gmail.com. Also, a big thanks to Maarten Schellekens, who created the intro and outro music for our podcast. And most importantly, thank you for listening. We hope to see you at the next one. Bye.